How Antonio Brown trade impacts Raiders' 2019 NFL draft strategy originally appeared on nbcsportsbayarea.comThe. Raiders acquired Antonio Brown in a trade Saturday night, yet they still own 4 NFL draft picks in the top 35 overall. Wrap your head around that. The Silver and Black agreed to trade a 3rd-round and a 5th-round pick from this year's NFL draft for Brown, a league source said, when the deal becomes official Wednesday. That's it. The Raiders remained patient and disciplined, and eventually got Brown without losing important draft capital. They gave Brown a bunch of money over the next 3 years, but they didn't add seasons to his existing deal and didn't part with high picks required to spark a roster rebuild. Raiders coach, football chief Jon Gruden hoarded high draft picks last year by trading away Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper and playing some terrible football in 2018, leaving the franchise with 3 first-round picks and the second-round second selection. So, they own those 4, 24, 27 and 35 even after this blockbuster trade. The Pittsburgh Steelers wanted a first-round pick for Brown, but that market never materialized. The Raiders weren't giving one up, and eventually took what they could get. The return likely was further depressed by the additional sum promised to Brown. He wanted tons of new money and got it, seemingly required to complete the deal. Every trade is a battle of gained versus given up, and we won't know who won the deal right away. At the start, anyway, the Raiders smell great. They acquired an elite receiver without adding time to a contract that ends after 2021, and they didn't abandon their long-term plans to do it. It's an impressive way to start an off-season, with free agency on the horizon. It also will give the Raiders the chance to take an elite defensive prospect at no. 4. There are some excellent linemen at the top of the draft, and find possible instant impact players in the 20s, and again at 35. They need to hit on those picks, especially with Brown's big money extension likely handcuffing the Raiders some in unrestricted free agency. The Raiders are in the midst of a major rebuild even with Brown on board, but the trade didn't set that effort back. Keeping their high draft picks allows them the opportunity to add quality and quantity at the same time. The early draft focus should be on helping a defense with holes everywhere. The Raiders desperately need help at edge rusher, they might need 2, and middle linebacker in the draft. They also need depth at cornerback and on the defensive interior. Avoided free safety can be addressed from a loaded free agent class, which should have some quality at a reasonable rate. The Raiders still need receiver help even after the Brown trade, but they don't have to reach for one early. They can focus on complementary pieces. A new slot receiver still is required, maybe a bigger bodied option as well, deeper in the draft, and an additional receiving tight end if the value's right. Looking forward a bit, Brown's big money deal will be off the books before any of these top draft picks will be eligible for a contract extension, meaning the receiver won't handicap the team financially in the short or long term. Related, how AB will impact Raiders offense. Gruden and general manager Mike Mayock were steadfast in their desire to retain their first-round picks during trade talks that they kept. No. 35 was impressive, showing discipline and adherence to a preset strategy. It also helped that Brown's recent antics and contract demands torched his value in the prospect of remaining in Pittsburgh. The Steelers didn't have much leverage, which allowed the Raiders to get back in the Brown chase and ultimately land their guy without changing their draft strategy. That's a win for the Raiders as they try to expedite the rebuilding process. More on the Antonio Brown trade. Brown's agency's great fit for his client in Oakland. Care among the Raiders pumped about the Brown trade. Vegas changes Raiders Super Bowl odds after the deal. Niners didn't want Brown, but they would like OBJ.